had a bad experience with a handyman? Hi there, Handy Ann here. Listen, you want to come to me. You know why? Because I care about you. No job too small, no job too big. I tackle anything that comes my way. Excellent craftsmanship. Head to toe safety comes first. Always safety coming first with me. Handy Ann has got her very own she shed. You got it. My very own she shed. I have got pre-owned wood, pre-owned materials. You need to reuse, and you know why? Because it's going to save you a lot of money. That's what I do. Handy Ann is going to save you money. Why would you pay for brand new wood? We recycle, we reuse material, and you're going to get a job that looks brand spanking new. I care about my workmanship, my craftsmanship. Every amount of love and energy goes into everything that I do, whether it's your toilet, whether it's a simple carpet cleaning, whether it's ceiling repair. I am good at what I do. No, I'm not just good at what I do. I am the best at what I do. Guaranteed, Handy Ann will take care of it for you. I care about you. So get called Handy Ann. I'll get to you if I can.
You think that's a joke? No, it really, I had to do a mock video on it, but everything you see in there was actually real and actually was done by a handyman. Snowbird asked me to clean up his home because he wants me to rent it out for him, and little Mr. Snowbird doesn't want to spend a lot of money on his home, which really needs a lot of repair. So I go on to Nextdoor and I do a little research to find a handyman because my husband wouldn't do it. And I find this guy, and with good reviews on him. It really has some pretty good reviews. The first guy never even showed up. He never showed up. That's obviously a sign. And this guy, he was on it with phone calls, on it with returning my calls, showed up when he said he was going to show up, came in, was a nice looking man, dressed really nice, actually smelled really nice too. That probably should have been a red flag that a handyman was smelling good. But he comes into the trailer that I'm cleaning up, getting ready to rent out. And of course the toilet needed fixed, and there was the roof was leaking. That needed repair big time. And the steps on the side of the house were crumbling horribly, and new steps needed to be done. Now, I really had him out just for the roof at this point, but I figured I'd throw out the toilet and see what else he could manage doing as a handyman. Takes a look at the ceiling because inside the house, from all the damage, we needed a whole new ceiling done, and you can see in the beginning here where that was, and he gives me a price on that. The first appointment for him to come out for the roof, he was running probably about 3 hours late. And so, but he gets right to work. He gets up there and he coats the roof with an elastomer. And he tells me that he did a really good, thorough job on the roof, but he of course will come back and do a water check on it to make sure it's not leaking, but it needs to dry for a couple days and then he'll come back. The thing with the roof, and again, my ignorance with this, is when he finished it the first time, I thought it was done, and so I paid him the rest. The same day he came out, I gave him his deposit, and before he left that day, I literally paid him the rest of the money because I thought it was done. He fixes the toilet, but it's not fixed. So I'm in there cleaning and I use the bathroom, and I tell my husband, honey, the toilet is not flushing. And it wasn't working, bottom line. I actually did text him and I told him about the toilet, and it was like, oh, no big deal. And Mike didn't have any patience for it, so he just went and bought the products, came back, and he actually fixed the toilet, and then it's fixed. And I told him, I said, don't worry about it, it's done, my husband fixed it. He never offered, any money back on that. I let it slide, the toilet was a small expense. So now he moves on to the ceiling. So he moves on to the ceiling. Well, in the middle of all this, I introduce him to my neighbor. And so my neighbor Pam wants a sunscreen put on the outside of her home on her little patio, her carport area. So he goes and he talks to her and he quotes her on a sunscreen, and then he literally puts me on the back burner to take care of her sunscreen. And I had gone over a couple times. I said, are you coming over? Are you going to do this? Oh, yeah, I'll get to it. Pam, the same thing with Pam. You know, this is a referral. I, at this point, really should not have done that because he really hadn't fulfilled anything to actually give the referral. But she really wanted a sunscreen put on, and so I did. I gave her the referral. My bad on that, because he quoted her $325, and he did the sunscreen. As you can see here, it took him, I mean, he had to have been on that for at least 14 hours doing the sunscreen. And it was unbelievably horrible, and Pam was pissed. And she confronted him about the half-assed work, and she, of course, paid up front in cash, gave him the full $325 up front. And because she confronted him on that work and that it was done so poorly, he literally would not go back and not fix it, would not even communicate with her, not return her texts or emails or nothing. So he came in and he went and he replaced the ceiling panels, like 2 of them, put up new ceiling panels, and there was no support to it. But now, mind you, the snowbird, Jeff, did not want to spend a whole lot of money. So I was working with a real tight budget, and that another reason why I went with a handyman that was not licensed, bonded, or wasn't a company. And he really does kind of a half-assed job on the ceiling. And after he finished the ceiling, I started going, I don't know if I want him to do these steps. Well, I'd already given him the go-ahead. With the roof now, okay, so we get a monsoon comes through, rains really hard, and I go over the next day to do a check on the house, and sure enough, it was probably worse than it was before. Just pouring down inside the house, the whole top of the ceiling, everything he replaced was ruined, damaged from the rain coming down. And okay, now mind you, now I'm pissed. Yeah, what had happened was I texted him and I said, it's leaking really bad. And oh, I totally forgot to come back and check it. And I mean, I feel bad. I feel stupid because I did not follow up with that. But I trusted that's his job, that he would have done that. And because I thought he'd fall through and come back and test it, which he never did. So the roof leaks, comes in, he looks at the ceiling, and he says he's gonna get back on that roof right away and re-seal it. When I saw the steps, oh man,
Point out is there was no ground contact treated lumber used on these steps. You'll notice that use of different used up, this is all used wood, previously taken or used from something else. There is no continuity through, whether it's 2x4, 4x4, you have a real thin piece that covers the front here on this.
I kept my cool, and I had to because he had to finish the ceiling inside. That was a part of what I paid for. So I decided to not stir it up, to not create a wave, take the steps, because Mike saw them, we both saw them, and we're like, this has got to be the shittiest work we've ever seen.
The 4x4 that's being used for a post is not long enough to go all the way down to the ground and be attached to the side. Instead, he utilized metal angles and actually neglected to complete screwing a screw in on this. The screws are too small. They're not going to have a good bite into the wood. This joint right here has one screw right here, and you can see where that leaves this support. It completely misses the top of this board. You come around here, you can see the shank on the screw going right down in there and popping out free from the center of this board here in the front.
I mean, it's obviously bad. but we didn't stir it. And he literally was so proud of them. I mean, that's what freaks me out. Was he really proud of those steps? How could you be proud of that work?
An aerial, and you can see how this is not secure at all. This piece of wood, I don't believe is even fastened in here. If it is, I'm not sure how.
We don't say anything. I mean, we're like, it's better than what was there. Mike already in his mind knows he's got to clean up all this. He's going to have to clean it all up. But we kept the piece so he would take care of the ceiling. So he says, I'm not going to do the ceiling until I make sure it doesn't leak again. And it did. It leaked again. I'm texting him and I'm telling him it's leaking again. And at this point, he comes out and I tell Mike, I am not going over there. I don't want to deal with him because I'm going to lose it. He needed to fulfill and finish the inside of the house and get that ceiling fixed. And he flat out refused to do it. And I'm really starting to go into huge regret land. You know, I'm talking to Pam. She tells me about her encounter with this guy with the screen and she's really pissed. And then she proceeds to tell me that this guy tells her that I never paid him. And he puts on this big pity party, feel sorry for me thing in the beginning, and that's why she paid him up front and paid him cash, is because he told her I never paid him anything, which was a big lie and a big scam to get cash. But that was his motive, was to get the cash. He literally took the money and ran with Pam. And then another neighbor had him do some yard work for him. She paid him up cash. She took the money and ran, never finished the yard work. And the trust, what is going on? Bottom line with trust, trusting people. And I'm a very trusting person. And in the recent months, I've come to understand that I don't trust anybody anymore. And it's really sad that it comes to that, but that's just the way it is anymore. I don't trust anybody. And I do take 100% responsibility for that. Red flags all the way, and I just trusted him. But handymen, and they're, again, like anything, you can't put them all in one bucket, okay? There's a lot of good ones out there. But my recommendation would be, from a lesson well learned from me, is I certainly will never, ever pay cash, which is really a bummer, because it's a great way, you know, I think, to do business, bartering or whatever. It's an awesome way, but you need trust in that. I certainly wouldn't pay up front all of it in cash. I lost a couple $1,000s on this deal. And we actually considered taking him to small claims, but came to find out that we had to put out more money just to do it, and then the efforts that go into it, and knowing that we're never going to see a penny from this guy. I mean, this isn't his first rodeo. He's done this before to people, and his target really is, I believe, after posting on Nextdoor, because I did go and I left a review, because I think it is very important that people are aware of scammers and in targeting certain people, and his target certainly is going to be older women. So we just took our losses, as you do. You take your losses, but it's always good to try to learn from something. And that I have learned a lot from is that Mike is just going to have to do all the work from here on out. No matter what. My husband is my handyman, and he needs to do it all, and he's really damn good at it. But he didn't want to do it, and I trusted. I think it was the blue eyes. I don't know. He smelled good. I don't know. I was a sucker for that. My opening video was my way of letting off a little bit of stress. I just had to do it. I had to do it. So, Handy Ann, maybe the women. It seems to be more men that are scammers. I shouldn't say that, but it seems to be so.
Short post, not as much support going to the ground up the whole side of the steps. Again, the post is cut short. The result is that.